Of all the synthesizers released in the first half of 2024, there have been none other more talked about than Myth from Dawesome. But why? Dawesome is a company that has built its legacy on high-quality synthesizers and effects, so the hype for Myth was through the roof, and for good reason. For the record, no other company has released as many high-quality software synthesizers in this current decade as Dawesome. Peter has simply been on a tear in the last 4 years, releasing product after product and offering up some of the most unique and groundbreaking tools on the market today. So why would Myth be any different? And further, why would anyone be opposed to the idea of another new synthesizer from Dawesome, especially when the previous releases have been so good? To answer these questions and more, I tracked down Peter V, the mastermind behind Dawesome, to get his take on what Myth is, how and why he built it, and then what his plans were for the future. Peter was extremely generous with his time and very insightful about what Myth is and the technology that it's based on. That said, some of his answers might surprise you, so stay tuned for the highlights, which will be given throughout this video. This would be a great time to mention that I've posted the full interview with Peter as a public post on my Patreon. I'll leave the link down below in the description. While you're there, if you're so inclined, you can join my Patreon. You can even join for free if you want to get access to a ton of extra content that you won't find anywhere else, such as full track walkthroughs, a treasure trove of tutorials, many of which are targeted for absolute beginners, over 100 preset and sample packs, including project templates, racks for VCV Rack, and tons more. By signing up and joining my Patreon, you're helping me to keep doing what I do so I can keep making inspiring tutorials and interviews just like this one. That being said, let's get into the video. Is Myth the real deal? We're about to find out. So here we are in Live 12. Now the goal with today's video is to showcase the amazing Myth, the brand new synthesizer from Dawesome. Now this is not sponsored content. He did not ask me to make this video. However, I felt like it was necessary to do a video on Myth because I feel like maybe it was misunderstood when it launched. Maybe people don't know what's happening under the hood. And so what I did is I tracked down Peter V, the mastermind behind every one of Dawsome's products. And I had sort of a question and answer style interview with him. And I wanted to get his thought process behind why he created Myth and what it's all about. So what we're gonna do is we're going to just sort of read off some of the answers. As I mentioned in the intro, the full interview is posted on my Patreon. The link is down below in the description. All right, so yeah, last thing, the camera is off today, so we can just focus here on the synthesizer. Also, it's really hot in the studio. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started, all right? So first things first, I'm gonna address my first question. And my question to Peter was this: what was your thought process behind Myth? What drove you to create this style of synthesizer? And he says, normally in sound design, you start with a static sounding waveform. And then you need to set up tons of LFOs, ADSRs, filters, etc. to bring life and organicity into the sound. I wanted to create a synth that exploits the organicity of samples so that you can take a sample with an interesting temporal evolution or texture and then use this as your source for movement in your sound. Now, that to me is a very interesting statement. You know, everything Peter says I listen to because he's just an interesting guy, right? So basically what he's saying is he wanted to exploit the organicity of samples and use them almost like wavetables. I think that's a better way to look at it. So anyway, I've got a background track here. Let's go ahead and play it. And just a little mellow ambient track. There's some upbeat parts here later on. We're gonna get to that. Let's open up a brand new instance of Myth and see what it's all about. Okay, so this is a brand new like default, you know, init patch, right? And you know, you start out with a sine wave, and these two things are called irises, and these are the samplers, if you will. And it's really not a sampler. It's a resynthesizer. It's basically the main sound source in Myth. And you know, I mean, a lot of people didn't understand what was happening, you know, underneath the hood, and I get that, right? I totally get it. So let's go ahead and just hit, you know, right? You know, you can hear that like nothing is happening because this is just the default sine wave. However, when you start introducing some of these modifiers here, or transformers as he calls it starts getting really interesting. Check it out. Oh yeah. So again, that's just the default sine wave. That's what happens when you FM a sine wave, right? You can hover over every transformer and it says, you know, the transformer applies frequency modulation, AKA FM, to the iris, all right? Now, here's the deal. You can use the default sine wave, or you can, you know, use your own samples, or you could use some of Peter's, right? So right click and choose audio source, okay? And he gives you about maybe, I don't know, 50 or so samples here. Let's go ahead and grab one. I don't know, Elven Tomb, what's that? I don't know. It's gonna resynthesize it, which means it's gonna create one of those, you know, kind of wavetable-like creations, right? But really it's a resynthesis of the actual waveform, which is really cool. So now I'm gonna play the keys again. As you can hear, nothing happens. Why? Because our playhead is not moving, right? We need to move the playhead around, like with this, to get some sound, okay? Now, well, how are we gonna do that? Well, he makes it really easy, and you right-click, and you say create and use new LFO. Okay, you can do this other ways, but this is the easiest way I found, is just to do this. And now when you play, you get a sound, right? The playhead is moving all across here. Now, if we go over to the LFO here, you can see that we can, you know, untie it from retrig. That's good. It's kind of given us a sense. I think the length of the LFO is created based on the length of the sample. So you can adjust it to whatever you want. You can make 2 bars, 1 bar, it'll move faster, right? I kind of liked it over at 2 bars. It was kind of nice. That's cool. And again, we can start modifying it with some of these transformers, right? This one says that it makes it more saw-like, the timbre, right? Very interesting. Now that's the tip of the iceberg here. So what else can we do here? Well, we can also introduce some modulation, all right? So I'm gonna add a new LFO here. You can do that by hitting the plus sign. And sure, we have a sine wave LFO, but here's what's even cooler, right? He wanted to make this like a modular pedal board almost. So everywhere inside of Myth, you'll see that there's lots of different options for adding and stacking all these different modules, right? Which is really incredible. It's one of the true powers of Myth. So what I'm gonna do is, great, we have a sine wave. That's cool. To do a modulation, all you do is just have this highlighted and then just add some modulation, right? Add some modulation with this wheel over here. That's cool. But what if we do a modifier on this LFO? So let's slow this down a little bit, and we'll add a modifier such as purl in. You can see as soon as I hit the plus sign, you get amount, curve, soft, you know, jitter, note, random. That's really cool, right? We'll add a purl in here, increase the rate, increase the amount. And as you can see, now look at our sine wave LFO. It's now a little bit jittery, huh? Check it out. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah? You like that? So you're really, you know, increasing the possibility that cool things can happen, and that's the whole point behind it. Great. So again, I'm not gonna go over every transformer here, but we got a lot of them, right? One of the most notable ones is this one over here. So if it sounds like too harsh or too FME, use the last one. It's called Purify. That's cool. Now, signs. It doesn't sound that, you know, synth-like anymore. Well, that's kind of the point. However, we do have a filter here. So we can grab the filter and we can, you know, turn it on. And then we can, you know, there's lots of different things here. You really want to think of Myth like a full-on modular, either a modular synth or a modular pedal board. I mean, either one, because you have filters here, you have distortions, you could do like effects inside of the filter path. Like, it's really amazing. And then you can kind of lower the cutoff here. There we go. That sounded a little better, right? Of course, we can modulate that without our LFO over there. So now that it's highlighted with the 4 brackets on the outside, just go ahead and add some of that LFO too. Very nice. Now we're moving. Okay. Very good. I like this. I like where this is going. Okay. There's all kinds of things you can do, you know, just here, right? You can, these are all the MIDI sort of, you know, modifiers like velocity, mod wheel, aftertouch. We can add some aftertouch to our filter. There we go. Little press, just like every other Dawesome synth. Very nice. Let's now add another iris before we even get to the effects, okay? First things first, we're gonna adjust our ADSR. So let's adjust our ADSR to like, I don't know, 4, and there we go, 4, 4, and 4, right? And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another iris, and this time I'm gonna grab one of my own samples. So let's see what happens when we grab one of Signs' samples, right? These were from Japan here. So let's grab like the monk chanting. Okay, this is pretty cool. So it's resynthesizing it, right? And now this is the sample. Again, we have to move the playhead. So we can either create a new LFO by right-clicking, or we could use any of the LFOs that we already created. So let's just use this one. That's good. Now we're moving. Oh yeah. Let's turn down Iris 1, or turn it off rather. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. That's really interesting, right? So, I mean, this sample had really nothing to do with musicality, and we're getting tone out of it, right? I find that really amazing. So we can turn off retrig. It's a 16 bar LFO. What if it's 4 bars? Oh yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh. Wow. All right, so now we got this all going through the filter. Now let's add some effects here, all right? Add some effects, turn it on. Let's start out with a OTT. Why not? Oh yeah. Turn that filter a little bit more. Now, some of you might remember, Dawesome Love came out maybe last year with some really high quality effects, and one of those that made its way over here was grains. Oh my goodness, this is such a beautiful, beautiful effect. Listen to this. Oh yeah. Love that. Gotta love it. Oh, so nice. We can just skip the delay. Loophole is really cool. You might try that. Add a chorus. Now again, these are all like reorderable. You can just drag this over, add some depth, add some thickness. Oh yeah, look at that. A little bit of chorus, very nice. Now let's add some clouds. Again, from Love. Oh. Good night. I mean, that's, you gotta love that, right? No pun intended. Oh my goodness. So there we go. We kind of beautiful, beautiful pad and myth. Let's go ahead and add some notes here. We'll make a 8-bar MIDI clip, increase the loop length, and we'll use one of the new MIDI transformation tools here in Ableton Live 12. We'll use Seed just because we can, right? Let's go ahead and generate some MIDI here. We'll increase some voices, make sure this is there. There we go. Very nice. Okay, we'll increase the pitch length. There we go. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ableton Live 12 is all that and then some. All right, we'll go ahead and change the fixed grid. There we go. And yeah, we are rolling. Let's select all of them, make them a little bit longer, and there we go. Let's go ahead and play this. Oh yeah. Very nice, very nice. It's just MIDI on command. All day, all night here, Ableton Live 12. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's open up Myth again. You can see that we just made a really interesting pad sound very quickly here in Myth, and we didn't even touch many of the transformers. There's all kinds of modulators here. There's math. You can do envelopes, just like, you know, Cult or Novum. All of that design language translates over here to Myth, all right? Now, let's talk about more of what's actually happening, okay? So let's go back to Peter. And here's my next question. Can you tell us what's actually happening with the samples when they become resampled? How is machine learning incorporated? And he says, the sound engine for the Iris internally uses 4 spectral oscillators. Each one of these can create any static timbre and has an envelope with 500 segments for the gain. When you drag and drop a sample, the machine learning approximates the sample by finding the best spectra and envelopes for these 4 oscillators. As a consequence, the resulting around will always be tonal. That means you can play it like a tuned instrument. That's really interesting, right? So like I said, these are almost like wavetables. And I'm not saying they are, because they aren't, but they are kind of like that, right? So we have these beautiful, beautiful tones that can come out of this. Oh yeah. Let's add another LFO. Why not? Turn off retrig. We'll make it a nice slow 8-bar LFO. Okay. Very nice. We'll go back to the filter, highlight it. Oh yeah. Excellent. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. So if you can see that, like, you know, a lot of people might write this off as, oh, it's just a, you know, pad machine, or it's just a soundscape machine. But the truth is, Myth can do a lot more than that. Okay? And we're about to kick it up a notch. So let's do it. Welcome to the next dimension. All right? So here we have just a kick drum. This is not coming from Myth. This is just a kick drum. But this stab is coming from Myth. All right? And this was something that I quickly put together inside of Myth. Right? And it's just a stab. On the oscillator, you can have, it has a wave effect, which just adds another oscillator. So I'm using that with a saw wave here, adding some gain onto it, adding some spread, right? A unison style oscillator with just the default iris here, okay? Nice little filter with an envelope and an LFO, right? Some effects. Now I also put grains and clouds. You can hear, I could solo this. Listen to this. This beautiful grains on the stab. Right there. Oh yeah, that's so good. So, I mean, Myth could be your daily driver, right? It could be that synth. At first, you might be like, oh wow, I mean, this is just crazy with all these irises, but you can really get straight up standard with it. You know, adding the wave here, just keeping the playhead in place, like all kinds of stuff can happen, right? Love that, okay? So again, I showed you how it could be a pad, you know, or a gorgeous soundscape. Like you can get really, really deep with the modulations. Obviously this stuff is all modulatable in the DAW, right? You could go crazy. Now, let's talk about the next question I had for Peter. What did you learn while creating Myth? Was there an aha moment where you were coding it when things finally came together? And he said, initially I wanted to make a very simple FM synth. I had some innovations on FM and wanted to create something where you can get all the typical FM timbres without all the complicated operators, algorithms, carriers, etc. Then I thought it would be nice to get rid of needing to set up so many envelopes. Then I thought it would be cool to have more transformers that can expressively shape the sound like a filter sweep or an FM ratio sweep, but with different timbres. So he really thought about it, right? He really thought about this, how these things came together, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you another example for Myth. Let's just start with a init patch. Some of you might have noticed that there is an arpeggiator here, or an arpeggiator lane, right? That's cool. We can do stuff with this, all right? Let's just grab another sound source. We're gonna choose audio source. Maybe we'll grab, I don't know, this E piano or something. See how that works, okay? Let's go ahead and play it. Cool, all right? That'll work, that'll work. You can find a nice spot inside of the oscillator. And what we can do is we can adjust our ADSR, right? So we can make it like a pluck, okay? That's fine. Great. So if the playhead doesn't move, you get whatever is on that resampling at that given moment. We could adjust the playhead position by using this knob right here. But I kind of like it over here. A little bit dirty. Oh yeah. Nice. We can recenter it. Excellent. Now, back to the arpeggiator. You can turn it on, right? And you can transpose it. You can make chords with it. You got scale mode. Like, he really thought about all this stuff in here. Let's just make an ARP, okay? We're gonna sync the ARP and we're gonna make it 1/8, okay? 1 octave, note on, looks good, all right? Let's adjust our filter before we even get ahead of ourselves. We're gonna add a filter here and we're gonna add a low pass. We're gonna change the cutoff. We're gonna add a separate ADSR, and we're gonna adjust that ADSR to be a really quick filter envelope like this. Very good, okay. And we'll come back to our filter here, and we're gonna use that ADSR on the cutoff, like this, okay? Excellent. Now we'll add another LFO for a final touch, and we'll take off retrig, and we'll make this a 4-bar LFO. That'll be nice, and we can move our filter with that LFO, so we'll highlight the cutoff, and we will increase the amount there. Nice. Add some gain. Excellent. Arpeggiator is on. All right, let's add some effects here. We're gonna add, say, a little bit of gain here. We're gonna add some delay. We're gonna sync this delay and make it dotted eighth notes. Very good, ping pong. And we will add some clouds. Why not? Why not? Turn on the wet, make it lush, take away the earlies. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's add one of those oscillator effects in here. Why not? Generate the wave. Oh yeah, we'll do a sine wave, mix it in. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. We can modulate this with an LFO. Let's create a new LFO. Nice. Oh my goodness. Nice. Look at that. Oh my God. That's crazy. So every time it's moving, you just adjust the playhead. I love it. I love it. Right? So we did an arpeggio. We did a stab. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna hold down some keys. Love this. Right click. Let's just get 1 bar MIDI. It doesn't matter. There we go. Draw it in. Excellent. Wait till this restarts, and we'll start again. Nice. All right. So the last question I had for Peter that we're going to highlight today is, now that Myth is out in the wild, what would you like to say to anyone who hasn't tried it yet or might want to take a second look? There's a fully functional 90-day free trial. It comes with 700 presets that can give you an overview of its capabilities. Myth is a very intuitive and user-friendly and approachable even for people with little or no experience in sound design. But it's an informative instrument that requires a slightly different approach, so the best way to deal with Myth is to regard it as an adventurous playground that wants to be explored and will give you tons of happy accidents. I am fully on board with that statement. I think Myth is a fantastic synthesizer. So let's grab one more instance of Myth here. And what we're gonna do is init the patch, and we will right click and choose audio source. Choose FM number 5. See what this sounds like. Create and use new LFO. Oh yeah, very interesting. Adjust that to 1 bar. There we go. Very nice. And in this example, what I want to do is I want to highlight something called math. And math has been talked about as one of the killer features of Dawesome's modulation. So what is math? Well, math is a module. You can find it down here under the modulated parameters. And what you can do is you can modulate the modulators with math, okay? And what that means is you could take this input dial, grab another LFO, for example. We'll unsync this. We'll make it, say, 2 bars, right? And we can start modulating the input with this LFO, okay? So now let's look what's happening to math. Is the input is coming from LFO2, yet math is going crazy over here, right? Love that. So now math is its own modulation source. So now we can modulate the FM with math. Okay. Oh yeah. Modulate this with math. This is wild. Already. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. Add some filter. Why not? Modulate with math. Nice. Love that. Let's put some effects here. Add an OTT. Take down some of the highs. Add a delay. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's incredible. Add an oscillator here, maybe a sub oscillator with a wave. Some pulse width modulation, some spread. Very nice. Oh my goodness. Wow. You can see how endless the possibilities are here. Let's add some clouds. Oh yeah. Ambient dub techno. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's only one iris, y'all. So you see, the possibilities with Myth, you can really let your mind go crazy here. It is like a modular pedal board. It is like a modular synthesizer. I mean, we didn't even get into half of the stuff in here. We barely even touched it. Atari Punk. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Add some console in there. You gotta love it. I want to thank Dawesome for even making the synthesizer like this. It's just an honor to use his creations every single time. And I feel like there's so much potential here. And he's got so much to offer the world. It's just amazing the type of things that we're getting. Only in the 2020s alone. I mean, it's just, wow. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And yeah, I would love to see you guys over on Patreon. Again, the full interview with Peter is posted over on my Patreon page. You can read it even if you have a free account. So go check it out. And if you're so inclined, you can sign up. I have hundreds of extra ambient tutorials on there, hundreds of preset packs. I do exclusive live streams, one-on-one coaching, so much more over on Patreon. The link is down below in the description. I'll be back again soon with more tutorials and walkthroughs just like this one. In the meantime, take good care, you guys. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. My name is Chris from Signs of Life, and I'll see you all in the next one.